Welcome to the second part of the World Home Economics webinar series brought to you by Philippine Association for Technology and Home Economics of State Colleges and Universities Incorporated in partnership with Usapang Pantahanan YouTube channel. Isang magandang umaga po sa lahat and welcome once again to our World Home Economics webinar series number 2. At sa inyo na Philippine Association for Technology in Home Economics of State Colleges and Universities Incorporated or PATESCU in partnership with Usapang Pantahanan YouTube channel. And ako po si Dr. Maria Fem Aquino and with me is Dr. Maria Narlene Yusores. Ma'am Narlene, how are you, Dr. Yusores?
Hello, Dr. Fem. Good morning, everyone. Again, welcome to our second episode of our World Home Economics webinar series number 2. And we'll be tackling tackling overconsumption. And we are blessed to have 3 beautiful speakers.
So last week, we learned a lot from Dr. Mayo, Dr. Paez, kay Sir Jao and Sir Ray. Ang dami ng mga natutunan natin sa kanila, and last week we also give a background, no? Mga important information with regards to tackling overconsumption. Kasi minsan kala lang natin yung pagkakalat ang ating iniisip when it comes to overconsumption. But then overconsumption, it's more than that. You can apply it sa health natin, sa ginagawa natin sa trabaho, yung screen time, di ba, na-mention natin yan. So, ang daming aspeto sa overconsumption. And Dr. Mayo gave a wonderful talk about yung tungkol naman on how we can maximize your ating spaces at home, di ba? Yan. At sobrang dami nang natututunan natin and I'm enjoying every minute of it kasi ang dami nating knowledge na ma-share natin sa ating family members and to all our students. And of course, welcome once again to all our registered participants in this webinar. At kung hindi pa po kayo nakaka-register, lalong-lalo na sa ating mga teachers from colleges and states and universities and DepEd, we encourage you to register. Yan, meron naman ho tayo itong QR code at yung ating pong webinar na to ay approved, no? From PRC with the program accreditation number PTR 2021-3427947. Kaya makaka-receive po ng CPD units, certificate with CPD units for all our registered participants.
Our first speaker is Dr. Eva N. Flores from Cagayan State University. She will talk on From Blossom to Biscuit, a unique plant-based treat, banana blossom cookies. Dr. Eva N. Flores is a distinguished educator, researcher, and industry leader in food technology and industrial education. She serves as a professor at Cagayan State University, where she has dedicated over 35 years to academia, research, and community service. With a doctorate in development education and industrial education, Dr. Flores has contributed extensively to curriculum development, research innovation, and extension programs. A prolific author and patent holder, she has received multiple national and international awards, including the Home Economics Lifetime Award and Outstanding Professor recognition. She is an active member of various professional organizations, further advancing education, research, and technological development. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Eva N. Flores.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sores. Our next speaker is none other than Dr. Lilian E. Aguiliana from the University of Eastern Philippines. Dr. Lilian E. Aguiliana is a seasoned educator and expert in home economics currently serving as a Professor 3 at the University of Eastern Philippines. With a career spanning decades, she has contributed significantly to teaching, research and extension services in the field. She holds a Master of Arts in Education majoring in Home Economics from Eastern Visayas State University and a PhD in Educational Management from the University of Eastern Philippines. Recognized for her dedication, she was awarded the Most Outstanding Extensionist by the local government unit of Lavisares Northern Samar. An active member of professional organizations, she served as Vice President of the Home Economics Teachers of the Philippines, Eastern Visayas Chapter. With a strong background in instructional leadership and research, she continues to advance home economics education and its relevance in the 21st century. That's our second speaker, and Dr. Lilian E. Aguiliana will talk about zesty and singy pickled coconut shoots, a tropical twist in every bite.
And of course, my favorite dear friend, Dr. Maria Fema S. Aquino. Dr. Maria Fema Suliman Aquino is a distinguished educator and registered nutritionist dietitian, currently serving as a senior lecturer at the College of Home Economics, University of the Philippines, Diliman. With a PhD in Home Economics from UP Diliman, she has dedicated her career to advancing nutrition education and home economics through research, teaching, and leadership. She has actively contributed to national and international conferences, serving as a resource speaker and chairperson in numerous training programs and seminars. Dr. Aquino is the president of the Philippine Association for Technology and Home Economics in State Colleges and Universities Incorporated, or PATHESCO, and has been recognized with multiple awards, including the Home Economics Professional Teaching and Service Awards. Passionate about sustainable nutrition and education, she continues to influence policies and practices in the field of home economics. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Maria Fema S. Aquino, University of the Philippines, Diliman, and she will be talking on plant-powered plates, smart and sustainable menu planning. Dr. Maria Fema S. Aquino.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yusores, for introducing me as the last
Yes.
speaker. And of course, without further much ado, let us now hear from our speakers.
Magandang buhay, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Welcome to the World Home Economics Webinar, Series 2025 Part 2 with the theme, Tackling Overconsumption. I am Dr. Eva Nebril Flores, an accredited professor, 6 of Cagayan State University, College of Industrial Technology, Carig Campus. My humble gratitude to PATHESCO organization in partnership with Usapang Pangtahanan for giving me the opportunity to share the output of my product development research titled Development and Acceptability of Banana Blossom Cookies. This is already copyrighted and the application for utility model is on process, particularly for the composition and process. Likewise, this is already included in the list of products to be extended to the community, both in the College of Industrial Technology and the Graduate School Andros Campus, particularly in the MAID TAM program, where I am currently assigned as the program coordinator. For the introduction, banana blossom, scientifically known as Musa acuminata colia, byproduct of banana cultivation, is often consumed as vegetable in many Asian countries, such as Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Banana blossom being rich source of potassium and contain much more soluble and insoluble fiber. Banana blossom can ease depression because of its effect on serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter in the brain responsible for balancing the mood and emotion. In Sri Lanka, it is consumed as curry as well as boiled or deep fried salad with rice and wheat bread. Banana blossom have tremendous nutritive value and a rich source of dietary fiber and some biological active compounds like vitamin C, tannin, myoinositol phosphates, and alpha tocopherol. Banana blossom have a lot of health benefits such as being able to ward off infection, ethanol-based extract which reduces free radical activity, reduces menstrual bleeding, manages diabetes and anemia, great source of vitamin and minerals because it contains various vitamins like vitamin A, C, and E. It also boosts mood and reduces anxiety and help nursing mother. With the health benefits, food nutrients, opportunities that we can get from this local product or raw material, and overflowing supply of banana blossom in Cagayan, the researchers was motivated to conduct this study. For the objectives, this study generally aims to utilize banana blossom to develop banana blossom cookies. Specifically, it aims to, number 1, determine the optimum amount of banana blossom and all-purpose flour and producing cookies. Number 2, determine the level of acceptability of the developed banana blossom cookies in terms of color, aroma, texture, taste, and general acceptability. Number 3, determine the level of consumers' acceptability of the developed banana blossom cookies based on various age group. And number 4, determine the approximate composition of the developed banana blossom cookies. For the significance of the study, the developed banana blossom cookies will be beneficial to the following. To Cagayan State University, the result of this study can be used for instruction, research, extension, and production program of the university. To the College of Technology, this can be used for the income generating project. The developed banana blossom cookies can be one of the product for commercialization and successively will create an income. Also, the result of the study can be used for extension activity. To the community, this study should serve as support and promotion of local products in the province of Cagayan or even for the whole country. To the food technology professors, this research would give instructors and professors a greater knowledge of the developed banana blossom cookies as well as incentive to develop techniques to help students in developing products like that is similar to the study. To the food technology students, this study will enhance students' knowledge of the developed banana blossom cookies, equipping them with valuable insight they can apply to future projects. To the local farmers, aside from the health benefits of the banana blossom cookies, they will be motivated to plant more bananas and will serve as a source of income. To the consumers, it will help combat malnutrition and ensure good nutritional content, prolong shelf life, safe from microbial contamination, and economical fruit snacks. To the entrepreneurs, the developed banana blossom cookies can provide entrepreneurs with a new and profitable business opportunity, enabling them to expand their products offering and increase their market share. To the researchers, the researcher valued this study to discover new information or to answer the questions with the end goal of benefiting the society. And to the future researchers, this will serve as references for related studies for product innovation and will serve as their guide and source of information. This study made use of IPO, the input process output. For the input, it pertains to the raw materials and other ingredients, tools, utensils, and equipment used in developing the product. And for the process, it pertains to the preparation of ingredients and materials needed, formulation using the 3 treatments, evaluation of sensory qualities using the score sheet, laboratory testing and analysis of the data gathered. Then for the output, pertains to the developed banana blossom product cookies. With the methodology, under materials, we have the tools, utensils, and equipment. We have the cookie molder, rubber scraper, spatula, measuring glass, measuring spoon, measuring cups, and wooden spoon. And we have also weighing scale, mixing bowl, sifter, and food processor, knife, tray, and the oven. For the ingredients used in this study, we have the ground banana blossom, white sugar, all-purpose flour, unsalted butter, vanilla extract, egg yolks, salt, baking soda. For the schematic procedure in the preparation of banana blossom, we have here washing and removal of flowers, soaking, blending, draining, and set aside. For the washing and removal of flowers, you have to wash that thoroughly in order to remove the foreign matters. And next is you have to soak with brine solution to prevent from discoloration. Then blending, instead of grinding, you may use also blending to refine the banana blossom flower. Then after that, you have to drain, then set aside. Let's now proceed to the schematic procedure in the development of banana blossom cookies. It is here. Then the procedure and the preparation of the ingredients. You must see to it that all the ingredients that you must use must be with good quality. Measuring and weighing. You have to measure accurately the different ingredients. Then before you mix the different ingredients, you have to preheat first the oven. Then creaming. You are going to cream the butter until it will turn into light yellow. Then add the other ingredients and then mix thoroughly until it will become well blended. After mixing the different ingredients, it's now time to mold the dough into desired shape. Then after that, baking. Then after baking, you have to cool first the cookies or the product before you pack. So that is the next step, packaging and then labeling. For the proportion of ingredients in the different formulation, we have 3 formulation. Formulation 1, as to the banana blossom, we use 175 grams. Formulation 2, we use 150 grams. Formulation 3, we use 125 grams. Now for the all-purpose flour, for formulation 1, we use 450 grams. Formulation 2, 475 grams. And formulation 3, 500 grams. So with the other ingredients just like butter, baking soda, white sugar, egg yolk, vanilla extract, and salt, the same measurement. For the experimental procedure of the banana blossom cookies, the banana blossom cookies were produced using finely chopped banana blossom and other ingredients as presented in the previous slide. Following the basic procedure of making banana blossom cookies, the 3 treatments were formulated. Treatment 1, 175 grams of banana blossom. Treatment 2, 150 grams of banana blossom. And treatment 3, 125 grams. The treatment were subjected to sensory evaluation by the 5 experts and 15 semi-experts panelists to assess the color, aroma, texture, and taste, and general acceptability of the product. After the 3 trials, the data gathered were analyzed and the best product was determined. The best formulation was used to determine the level of consumers' acceptability according to age. Comments and suggestions were incorporated until such time was able to improve the product and more acceptable by the consumers. The improved and most acceptable products was subjected to proximate composition and was able to determine the moisture and ash content of the product and found out that is safe for human consumption. Quality scoring sheet was used to evaluate the different treatments of banana blossom cookies in terms of color, aroma, texture, taste, and general acceptability. The 9 hedonic scale was used, ranging from 1, which is disliked very much, up to 9, which is liked extremely. For the distribution of consumers' respondents according to age group, broken down as follows. For the children, ages 10 to 12 years old, 25. Teenagers, ages 13 to 18 years old, 25. Young adults, ages 19 to 25 years old, 25. Adults, ages 26 to 59 years old, 25. And senior citizen, 60 up, 25. A total of 125 respondents. For the result and discussions, the table shows the optimum amount of banana blossom and all-purpose flour used in this study. Among the 3 treatments, treatment 1 has the highest amount of banana blossom used with 175 grams, while treatment 2 used 150 grams and treatment 3 used 125 grams. For the all-purpose flour, treatment 3 used the highest amount with 500 grams, then treatment 2 used 475 grams, and treatment 1 used the lowest amount of all-purpose flour with 450 grams only. Considering the 3 treatments for the formulation of banana blossom cookies, such as treatment 1 with 175 grams of banana blossom and 450 grams of all-purpose flour, then treatment 2 with 150 grams of banana blossom and 475 grams of all-purpose flour, then treatment 3 with 125 grams of banana blossom and 500 grams of all-purpose flour. The researchers found out that the treatment 2 has the great potential for the formulation of banana blossom cookies, which was acceptable and comparable with the existing product in the market. For the level of acceptability of banana cookies in terms of aroma, texture, appearance, flavor, and general acceptability, the sensory evaluation of the developed banana blossom cookies was evaluated by 15 semi-trained and 5 trained panelists. Sensory characteristics such as color, aroma, texture, taste, and general acceptability. In terms of aroma, the level of acceptability in treatment 1 is 7.66, which is like very much. Treatment 2 is 8.34, which is like extremely. And treatment 3 is 7.62, like very much. Some of the panelists said that all 3 treatments smell like butter cookies, and the respondents loved the fresh baked cookies and appreciated the product very much. As to the texture, the level of acceptability in treatment 1 is 7.56, which is like very much. Treatment 2, 8.32, like extremely. Treatment 3, 7.38, like very much. The result showed in the 3 treatments, the banana blossom cookies have a satisfying, crunchy texture. As to the taste, in treatment 1, with 7.84, which is like very much. Treatment 2 with 8.40, like extremely, and treatment 3 is 7.5, which is like very much. Based on the data gathered, 10 among the 15 respondents said that the banana blossom cookies taste is not too sweet, and assess the banana blossom cookies that crunchy and healthy, delicious cookies. On the other hand, the general acceptability of banana blossom cookies in treatment 1 with 7.72 like very much. Treatment 2, 8.5 like extremely. Treatment 3 is 7.38, which is like very much. The result showed that the banana blossom cookies are like extremely as the majority. Though the most of the panelists gave a good rating on the evaluation of the product, the overall mean rating for 3 treatments, treatment 1 with 7.69, which is like very much. Treatment 2 is 8.34, which is extremely like. And treatment 3 is 7.49 like very much, which means that treatment 2 is the most acceptable in terms of the sensory qualities of the product, such as color, aroma, texture, taste, and the general acceptability. For the level of consumers' acceptability of the developed banana blossom cookies on a various age group, among the 5 groups who evaluated the banana blossom cookies, the group of teenager earned the highest rating of 8.7, equivalent to like extremely. For aroma, 9.5, like extremely. For color, 8.6, like extremely. For texture, 8.9, like extremely. For taste, and 9, which is like extremely for the general acceptability. And in the overall mean rating, group of teenagers got the highest rating of 8.94, which is like extremely, followed by the group of children with the aggregate mean rating of 8.68, which is like extremely, group of young adults with total mean rating of 8.48, like extremely, and group of adult with total mean rating of 8.44, which is like extremely, and group of youth has the lowest overall. This implies that most of the teenagers want the banana blossom cookies because of its innovative color, aroma, texture, and taste. For the proximate analysis of developed banana blossom cookies, the chemical analysis laboratory tested by Department of Agriculture, the moisture in terms of percentage is 8%, while the ash percentage is 1.26%. Moisture content in food can have a significant impact on factors such as the product's taste, texture, appearance, shape, and weight. It has implications on legal and labeling requirements. Economically important requirement, the shelf life. The shelf life of the food or food products, food quality measurement, and food processing operation. This has a significant impact on whether or not the product reaches their advertised use by date. 0.25% is a stable percentage in terms of moisture content. This indicates that banana blossom cookies is shelf stable, foods that can safely sit on the pantry shelf for at least 1 year and do not have to be cooked or refrigerated to eat safely. Determining the ash content in food sample is part of proximate analysis necessary for nutritional evaluation. This ensures the safety of food, making sure that there are no toxic minerals present. Ash content in food can be an indication of how much processing has taken place, as natural food have a lower ash content compared to more processed food. The lower the ash level, the better quality of the food. This indicates that banana blossom cookies is safe for human consumption. For the summary of findings, the objectives of the study was to develop banana blossom cookies, considering the 3 treatments for the formulation of banana blossom cookies, such as treatment 1 with 175 grams of banana blossom and 450 grams of all-purpose flour. Treatment 2 with 150 grams of banana blossom and 475 grams of all-purpose flour. Treatment 3 with 125 grams of banana blossom and 500 grams of all-purpose flour. The researchers found out that treatment 2 has a great potential for the formulation of banana blossom cookies, which was acceptable and comparable with the existing product in the market. Among the 5 groups who evaluated the banana blossom cookies, the group of teenagers earned the highest rating of 8.7, which is like extremely. For aroma, 9.5, which is like extremely for color, 8.6 like extremely for texture, 8.9 for like 8.9 which is like extremely for taste, and 9.0 like extremely for general acceptability. And the overall mean rating group of teenagers got the highest rating of 8.94 like extremely, followed by the group of children with an aggregate mean rating of 8.68, which is like extremely. Group of young adults with a total mean rating of 8.47, like extremely. Group of adult with a total mean rating of 8.4, like extremely. The group of senior citizen has the lowest overall mean rating of 8.04, which is like extremely. Most of the teenagers want the banana blossom cookies because of its innovative color, aroma, texture, and taste. This has a significant impact on whether or not the products reach their advertised use by date. 0.25% is a stable percentage in terms of moisture content. This indicates that banana blossom cookies is a shelf-stable food that can safely sit on the pantry shelf for at least 1 year and do not have to be cooked or refrigerated to eat safely. Determining the ash content in food sample is part of the approximate analysis necessary for nutritional evaluation. This ensures the safety of food, making sure that there are no toxic minerals present. Ash content in food can be an indication on how much processing has taken place as natural food and have a lower ash content compared to more processed food. The lower the ash level, the better quality of food. This indicates that banana blossom cookies is safe for human consumption. For the conclusion, based on the findings, it is therefore concluded that the developed banana blossom cookies have the optimum amount of 150 grams of banana blossom and 475 grams of all-purpose flour. That is the treatment 2, demonstrating the best ratio for the formulating banana blossom cookies that were deemed acceptable by the evaluators. Based on the sensory evaluation, treatment 2 was the most acceptable. In terms of the sensory qualities, the products such as the color, aroma, texture, and taste, and general acceptability. Among the 5 groups who evaluated banana blossom cookies, the group of the teenagers ages 13 to 20 want the banana blossom cookies because of its innovative color, aroma, texture, and taste. And for the chemical analysis, laboratory tested by Department of Agriculture for moisture percentage is 8.0%, while the ash percentage is 1.26%. The lower the ash level, the better quality of the food. This indicates that banana blossom cookies are safe for human consumption. Based on the result of the study conducted by the researchers, recommendations were developed and formed. Number 1, introduced to the manufacturers and local bake shops. Number 2, wide dissemination of the result of this study is encouraged in venues like training and workshop as a product of research for the community knowledge enhancement. Number 3, to conduct further studies such as standardization of the product. Number 2, nutritive value. Number 3, chemical analysis. Then next is profitability of the product and shelf life of the product and microbial analysis. That's all from my presentation. Thank you for listening. I hope you can get an idea on how to conduct product development researches, most especially for the local materials or available products in our locality. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, my dear participants. How are you today? I am Dr. Lilian E. Aguilana, the Chairman of the Technology and Livelihood Education Department, College of Education, University of Eastern Philippines, Katarman, Northern Samar. I am tasked to demonstrate on how to make the coconut shoot pickles. My dear participants, since I am the last demonstrator, I will make my demonstration very short. And here it is. The ingredients in making the coconut shoot pickles. Here are the ingredients. 4 cups coconut shoot, sliced into strips after blanching. 1 cup carrots, sliced into strips. 1/4 cup ginger. 1 teaspoon salt. 3 cups vinegar. 3 cups sugar, and pinch of seasoning. In a kettle, place the vinegar together with the salt, sugar, and seasoning, and let it boil. Vinegar with sugar and the salt and seasonings. Note that the number of vinegar will also be the number of cups for sugar. Okay, so let us boil this mixture until boiling point. While waiting for the boiling mixture, let us combine the coconut shoot, the carrots, and other ingredients. Let us combine this in a bowl or in a container. Mixed with the other ingredients. Then mix with the other ingredients. While boiling the vinegar, sugar, let us add the seasonings and salt. Boiling, we will transfer this mixture to the combined ingredients in the bowl. And now we will pour the mixture to these combined ingredients. And this is now the coconut shoot pickles. So, let it cool. and when it cools, transfer to sterilized bottles. And this is now the output of the coconut short pickles. This is now short pickles. In closing, the idea of this food innovation is based on my experience during Typhoon Ambo. Coconut shoots were just thrown away. With my knowledge of our extension program, in which we teach the people on how to do the food processing, so I engaged in coconut shoot pickles. Now, thus it reduces waste, it augments income, and it saves the environment. Thank you and God bless.
Isang magandang umaga po sa lahat, and we would like again to welcome everyone to our World Home Economics webinar series part 2. And my assignment for this webinar series is to share my knowledge and my expertise when it comes to the role of a plant-based diet in tackling overconsumption and about plant-based meal planning. So this is a very important topic because, as we all know, diet plays a key role in tackling overconsumption. Just like what we mentioned from the part 1 of our webinar, comes to health and overconsumption, ang laking bagay talaga ng ginagawa ng ating diet, yung mga kinakain natin. When we consume more than what we need, we suffer from different kinds of diseases. Kasi nga, ito ay sobra sa pangangailangan. And then we will going to tackle about the benefits of a plant-based diet. Parang review ito dun sa nabanggit ni Sir Jowa Zhao last week. Everyday consumption, maganda talaga na meron tayong sinusundan na meal plan, especially when you are transitioning from a meat-based diet to a plant-based diet. So, importanteng malaman natin yung mga essential principles and what are some of the existing substitutions na locally available para naman we can be able to eat healthier and at the same time hindi masakit sa bulsa. Actually, the objectives of our webinar is to understand how a plant-based diet helps reduce overconsumption. Secondly, appreciate the benefits of a plant-based diet for health and environment and economy, and apply principles in daily meal preparations and home economics education. So, when it comes to benefits of plant-based diet, I have 3 major points to discuss with you. So, sinasabi lang po dito na kasi pag nagpo-proseso ng mga meat products, it contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emissions. At nangangailangan ng enerhiya, ng gasolina, pagka tayo po ay nagko-consume or nagpo-produce ng meat products. Whereas plant-based foods require fewer resources to grow kasi plant-based siya, di ba? Sa lupa binubungkal, sa lupa siya nagmumula at siya ay halaman. And then second point is yung water conservation. Did you know that producing a kilo of beef requires 15,000 liters of water? Very interesting, di ba, ang fact na to. So, ang dami palang kinukonsumong tubig pagka may meat production. While a kilogram of grains needs only 1,500 liters. So, a plant-based diet reduces excessive water consumption. And obviously, the third point is your less land use. Siyempre, ang ating pong mga beef, mga mga cows, 'di ba? Mga baboy, they need land, no, large areas of land. Kaya lang ang disadvantage kasi niyan ay nagkakaroon ng deforestation. Kaya naman shifting to plant-based meals helps protect forests and biodiversity. So in terms of health, sabi natin na better nutrition dahil nga halaman. No? Fruits, vegetable, legumes, and whole grains are rich in fiber, vitamins, and minerals, which is very essential to our body. And yun naman talaga din ang natural na form of food na kailangan ng ating katawan. And second point is that iwas sa sakit. Okay? Dahil nga halaman po ang ating kukonsumo, mas marami or iwas tayo sa mga tulad ng heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, and even certain cancers. At when it comes to weight management naman and gut health, fiber-rich diet promotes a healthy digestive system and prevents obesity. Okay, and the third point here is cost effectiveness and food security. So obviously, mas mura talaga kapag halaman, no? Galing sa halaman ang kakainin. Ang laki talaga ng kaibahan. No? When we consume legumes, vegetable, and grains, these are more affordable. Tulad ng tofu o yung tokwa na paborito natin, ang isang bloke niyan ay nagkakahalagang 5 piso hanggang 10 sa palengke. Pero kung sa grocery naman na meron siyang seal o silyado siya, hindi pa siya umaabot ng 50 pesos. So talagang affordable siya. Versus of course our meat na talaga hanggang 500 per kilo. So ang laking difference. And of course, when we consume plant-based diet, we support our local agriculture, most especially our local farmers. We strengthen food security dahil mas tinatangkilik natin ang mga produce ng ating local farmers, especially pag in season ang kanilang mga produce. Dito nga sa bandang Benguet, sobrang dami ng ng gulay. And minsan dahil hindi naman napapakinabangan, yan po ay tinatapon na lang. Yun ang malungkot na katotohanan dyan. Kaya importante talaga na suportahan natin ang ating mga local farmers. Yan. So here are principles that we need to remember when we are planning for a plant-based diet. So unang-unang principle po dito ay yung balanced meal. Pag sinabi yung balanced meal, kailangan may protina. You replace meat with protein-rich plant foods such as beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh, and nuts. So familiar na familiar tayo dito kasi ang mga beans natin, dyan, in the form of munggo, garbanzos, at marami pang iba, ano? Marami tayong pwedeng gawin sa mga beans na ito. Lentils, yan po ay katulad din ng beans, no? And then tofu, yung paborito nating tokwa, tempeh. Tempeh is parang tofu din siya eh. Iba nga lang po ang timpla nito. And nuts, ang paborito nating mga peanuts or any other nuts. Marami namang different kinds of nuts. Pero ang mas affordable natin dito ay yung peanuts. And in terms of balanced meal, we need to include fiber. No, you need to include brown rice, quinoa, and whole wheat to aid digestion and overall health. So in the DOST-FNRI, they are advocating the use of brown rice. Pero kung may budget naman kayo, you can also explore other whole grains katulad ng quinoa. Medyo pricey siya, but I think it's also available in Shopee and Lazada na hindi ganun ka-expensive. Meron naman silang iba't ibang brand na you can also try kasi it's also rich in not just in fiber but also in protein. Whole wheat, meaning mas maganda yung mga whole wheat breads para mataas sa fiber. It will aid digestion and overall health. And in terms of healthy fats, well, syempre, maganda talaga na meron tayong mga essential fats na sabi natin na very healthy like avocado. Ang avocado ngayon ay in season, so pwedeng-pwede natin yung kainin itong summer. And then of course, coconut oil. Maganda siya for frying, but sa mga paggisa, olive oil, and other oil coming from nuts. And then to get iron and calcium, to stay healthy, iwas tayo sa anemia, osteoporosis, leafy greens. Marami namang leafy greens sa bansa natin na mura lang, like malunggay, kangkong, and pechay. It will provide iron and calcium, essential for strong bones and energy. Kasi akala natin na ang milk lang ang source ng calcium. Yun, hindi naman milk lang. Ito ay galing din sa ating leafy green vegetables. And when it comes to carbohydrate sources, apart from the whole grains like brown rice, we have starchy vegetables. Ang ating paboritong kamote, di ba? Yung ating mga saging saba. These are good carbohydrate sources. And of course, our fruits and our legumes, mga beans, mga munggo, these are also sources of carbohydrates. So yan, importante nating malaman ito before we plan our plant-based meal. Here's a step-by-step guide to planning a plant-based diet. So, una-una, we need to assess nutritional needs ng pamilya. Gaano ba karaming protina, gaano ba karaming fiber, gaano ba karaming oil and carbohydrates ang kailangan ng bawat isa sa pamilya. And pangalawa, we need to identify, alamin, ano ba yung mga available and affordable ingredients in our environment, sa ating lokal, sa ating lugar. Ano ba yung mabibili ko na plant-based ingredients when it comes to protein, carbohydrates, fats, and fiber. And then, plan balanced meals. When you planning, make sure yung kaninang nabanggit ko, andun lahat yon sa pagpaplano. And then, create a weekly menu. Shop smart and sustainably. Prepare and store food properly and involve the whole family. Yun. So, isa-isahin natin ng bawat isa para mas lalo nating ma-appreciate ano nga ba itong mga step-by-step guide to planning a plant-based diet. So, first step is to assess the nutritional needs. So, napaka-swerte natin dahil ang ating DOST-FNRI ay naglabas ng isang nutritional guidelines for Filipinos. Ito ay ang Pinggang Pinoy. To know kung tayo nga ba ay kumakain ng sapat at may kalidad ang ating pagkain. So makikita natin sa Pinggang Pinoy, we have the Go foods, these are the carbohydrates-rich foods. The Grow foods, these are the protein-rich foods. And the Glow, which are comprised of our fruits and vegetables. So nangangahulugan na we need to ensure enough protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. And to include plant-based protein sources, tulad ng nabanggit ko kanina, ang mga usual na ating pong pinanggagalingan ng plant-based protein, ito po ang ating mga beans, mga munggo, red beans, garbanzos, marami yan Pili na lang kayo kung ano ho ang gusto ninyo. Ayan. And then, we have our tofu and we have our nuts. Meron ngang mga meat analogs na galing sa gluten. Pwede rin po yun, para siyang ang kanyang texture ay parang meat. Pwede rin naman po yun. And then, plan for calcium, iron, and B12 intake through diverse food sources. So sa nabanggit ko nga kanina, yung ating mga green and leafy vegetables, yun po ay will help us to meet our iron and calcium needs. And our carbohydrates naman, we have our high fiber carbohydrate sources like kamote, brown rice. So yan yung mga typical na kailangan nating sundin. No? And sa Pinggang Pinoy, sinasabi dyan kung ilan nga ba ang measure ng kakainin ng isang tao. No? So for adults, 19 to 59 years old, based on Pinggang Pinoy, pagkakain ka ng kanin, nasa 1 cup yan per meal. Yan. And then for the protein, may katumbas din po, no? Kung ilang tofu ang kailangan kainin. No? Sabihin natin, kalahati ng bloke ng tofu ang pwedeng kainin. And sa vegetable, a cup of green leafy vegetable. And then 1 fruit. Any fruit in season will do. After knowing the nutritional needs, you just add up. Ibig sabihin, just add ilan ba ang pangangailangan namin for a day para makita mo ilan lang ba yung bibili, no? Siyempre, pagka nalaman mo na ilan ang kailangang bilhin, it's about time to go to the grocery or to the palengke and seek for the locally available seasonal vegetable and foods. Kasi mas mura siya kapag on season or in season yung mga fruits and vegetables. Pili ka na kung anong gusto nyong carbohydrate food like brown rice, corn, or sweet potatoes. Yung kamote, diba? Actually, napakataas sa fiber ng kamote and it's filling, mabigat din sa tiyan. Pero ang karanasan ko dito sa brown rice, kahit half a cup lang, hindi ka nagugutom eh. Hindi ka na nakakapagmerienda kasi mataas siya sa fiber. Yan ang experience ko naman sa brown rice. Our protein sources, tulad ng nabanggit ko, mung beans and tofu. Sa internet, ang daming ideas how to prepare our favorite munggo. Kasi ang usual na preparation na ginagawa natin sa ating munggo ay yung gisado, di ba? Gisa mo siya sa tofu, sa gulay na gusto mo. But then, merong mga recipes ngayon na ang munggo hindi lang pang-gisado o pang-sabaw. Pwede rin siya burger, munggo burger, may munggo lumpia. So, maraming ways on how to prepare our plant-based protein. Hindi na akong naranasan noon na yung tokwa, nilagyan ko ng kalabasa, and yun yung aking pinaka-lumpia. Oo, titimplahan mo lang siya para maging malasa siya, no? Ng mga salt and pepper, and maybe some other vegetables that you can include. Then, wrap it in your lumpia wrapper. Ayun na, pwede mo na siyang iprito. Kung ayaw mo namang iprito yan, ay lutuin mo muna yung kalabasa and yung tofu, igisa mo siya, and then you can wrap it sa isang wrapper, lumpia wrapper na pwede mo ng homemade lumpia wrapper kainin na hindi na ipiprito. So that's another way on how to be creative in our meals, no, sa plant-based. So nakakatuwa kasi sa Pilipinas, ang dami-daming fruits in season from January to December. So meron ditong listahan na nakalap ko na magandang guide, no, para malaman natin ano bang fruits in season ngayon na pwede nating iplano sa ating meal. So sa ngayong buwan ng Abril, of course, ang banana hindi talaga naalis yan all throughout the year, no? Pero dito sa listahan ko, all throughout the year talaga ang banana. Wala akong duda. And then of course, may duhat. No? Dito sa lugar ko, meron pa ring mga puno ng duhat. Nalalaglag lang siya. Pero maganda rin na ma-experience, kung meron naman sa lugar nyo, why not na ma-experience nyo yung kumain ng duhat. It's very rich in vitamin C. And of course, our favorite langka. Oo, binigyan lang ako ng kapitbahay ko the other day ng kanilang matamis na langka galing sa puno. And then mangoes. Walang tatalo sa Philippine mangoes. No, yan yung mga fruits in season ng melon, yung pakwan, papaya, siniguelas, and yung ating favorite na suha from Davao. Step number 3, plan balanced meals. So kanina, naano na natin yung tungkol sa pinggang Pinoy. But then just to reiterate, no, na ito ay nag-comprise of protein, carbohydrates, healthy fats, and fiber. So I have here an example, no. It's a salad siya na in one bowl, no. You can assemble your salad using all these 4 important nutrients. So as you can see, makita mo dyan yung corn, and then you have your kamote, the tofu, and your favorite lettuce, quinoa. I saw quinoa here. Ito yung quinoa. And siguro this is a fruit na pwede siya mag-complement for the salad. And you put some your favorite seasoning na para naman ganahan tayo sa ating masarap na 1 dish meal na salad. Nandiyan na lahat. And it's really good for your health. One time, siguro maraming beses na gumagawa kami nito, and yan lang. Nakikita ko talagang in terms of losing weight din, nakakatulong talaga siya. Kasi buti mo, walang pinirito, walang animal fats na maraming cholesterol, and of course your digestive system gumaganda kasi ang daming fiber and very rich in vitamins and minerals. So it's really good for digestion and for weight management para hindi tataba. And then create a weekly menu. Yan, ito naman ang pinaka-challenging part sa steps natin, because every day, of course, don't want na everyday bunggo na lang, di ba? O tokwa na lang. Kailangan may variation. So I have here an example of a vegan meal prep plan. So kung ikaw ay busy na individual at paborito mo naman ang overnight oats, why not try overnight oats? So marami yung recipe yung overnight oats. Nakakatuwa kasi paggising mo, when you assemble it in the evening, paggising mo, ayan, meron ka ng overnight oats. And then sweet potatoes, our favorite kamote. Isa yan sa magaganda at masasarap na breakfast. Tingnan nyo, no, when we plan menu na plant-based, simpleng-simple lang siya. Hindi mo lang masyadong very elaborative preparation. So you save time and gas, di ba? Pag ganito lang kasimple yung ating mga plant-based. Pero ano siya, rich in vitamins and minerals and macronutrients. And here's an example of a lunch na ito, ang sarap nito, no, yung mga smashed chickpea. Convert it into a paste together with your favorite seasonings and herbs. Yun na. Pwede mo na siyang ipalaman sa inyong favorite sandwich, top with your lettuce and other favorite vegetables. Yun na. And favorite salad, tawag yan, seasoning. Ang sarap naman, no? Talagang mararamdaman mo na you are really eating healthy. And then yung vegetable hummus, yan. So, makikita natin na itong mga ingredients na to, no, sa market available. All we need to do is magkaroon talaga ng oras to prepare in advance, no, ng maramihan para hindi pa ulit-ulit. Plan meals in advance to avoid food waste. So, importante talaga sa tackling overconsumption, yung food waste, i-minimize natin. And then include a variety of dishes to maintain interest. and to prepare meals that can be used in different ways. Katulad nung nabanggit ko kanina, kung ngayon ay munggo na gisado, kinabukasan ay fried munggo patties naman. And ito yung sinasabi ko na shop smart and sustainably. This is an important part of tackling overconsumption in planning our meals na plant-based. So one way is to buy in bulk to reduce packaging waste. Choose fresh produce over processed food. Kasi nga naman, pag processed food, ang dami-daming pinagdaan ng enerhiya, di ba? Kaya yung greenhouse gas emission nag-i-increase sa environment kung proseso ang pagkain. And then support local farmers and markets for fresh and affordable ingredients. Ayan. So, tulad na nabanggit ko kanina, talagang we need to work smart. Lalo na kapag busy po tayo. And pag meron tayong favorite na mga vegetarian dishes like yung hummus, no? Yung yung mga mung beans ito, like chickpeas, garbanzos na papakuluan natin and then blend it to make it a paste, lalagyan ng mga seasoning para sa ating mga sandwiches, sa ating salads, yan. So cook in batches to save time and energy. Store cooked food in airtight containers to reduce spoilage. And use leftovers creatively to minimize waste. So, ang iba ang ginagawa for one week na meal prep sila. Usually sa weekends para the whole week kumukuha na lang sila ng mga gusto nilang kainin, no? Like yung mga munggong gisado, pwede naman po tayong gumawa niyan ng medyo marami-rami for the whole week. And then you just need to freeze some of the munggo gisado, and then kung kailangan yun na, pwede nyo na siyang ito at iinit. So, para hindi siya masisira, no? We need to freeze, no? Dun sa mga pagkain na we prepare in advance. Ito ang pinakamasaya, step number 7. Involve the whole family. So especially for children, with small children, this is a teaching moment. We assign meal preparation tasks to family members, teach children about nutrition through hands-on cooking, and encourage family members to suggest plant-based recipes. So lahat ng mga kinakalakihan sa bahay, talagang tumatatak yan as they grow, yung mga bata. That's why yung training natin in terms of what we eat at home, importante ito sa buhay ng ating mga anak at syempre sa atin din mga parents or guardians ng mga batang ito, and even for our teenagers. So when we teach them planning using plant-based ingredients, magiging way of life na nila yan. At magiging healthy sila, hindi sila magkakasakit, diba? And most importantly, when they are involved in the kitchen, they know how to cook it. So para pag kayo ay busy, you can just ask your children to help you. Diba? Masaya. So I have here a 3-day plant-based meal plan na pwede nyong gawin sa bahay at pwede nyong dagdagan for days 4, 5, 6, 7. So, pero sa menu na ito, na pwede ninyo subukan, just search for the recipe gusto niyo sa internet. Siguro sa mga susunod na webinar, we will have our cooking demo na for plant-based diet. But for now, menu planning muna tayo. So, I have here suggested menu. No? For instance, for day 1, wow! Sino bang tatanggi sa masarap na champurado with coconut milk and banana? And then lunch, ang ating paboritong munggong gisado with malunggay and brown rice. Wow! Masarap talaga yan. Favorite ko din ang munggong gisado. And dinner, pinakbet with tofu and rice. See? Andyan pa rin talaga yung Filipino dish. Yun nga lang, may mga substitution na ginawa tayo. At ang paborito nating snacks and beverages, we have our turon, boiled sweet potato, our favorite buko juice, and salabat. Mamili na lang kayo kung saan dyan ang PM and AM snacks. For day 2, highly recommended ang taho with arnibal and sago. Diba? Minsan, inaabangan na lang natin yan sa mamang nagtataho. And that's really a good alternative, a good plant-based meal for breakfast. Yung ating favorite na taho, made of soy. Kung naman, pag may mga soya milk around, yan, gusto ko rin yun. Very, din siya, refreshing. And for the lunch, gising-gising with red rice. So, yung gising-gising, ito yung isang vegetable na medyo manghang ang pagkatimpla nung vegetable na ito, no, na ginagamit sa gising-gising. You can use sitaw at meron pang isang vegetable na ginagamit para sa gising-gising. Pero it's very rich in vitamins and minerals kasi mga green vegetables ang ginagamit dito. Usually yung mga sitaw natin. And dinner, at we have our ginataang kalabasa, sarap-sarap niyan, at sitaw with grilled eggplant. And for snacks and beverages, our favorite banana Q naman tayo, our boiled cassava. Sana meron pa nito lagi. No? Parang seasonal din to eh. Lemongrass iced tea. Ang sarap, very refreshing ang lemongrass. Hindi yung in powder form. Yung lemongrass, yung tanglad, na sana meron tayo dyan sa garden natin, yun, pakukuluan mo lang yun. And then, put some ice and a bit of sugar. Yun, pwede na yun, or honey. And then, for the third day, ang ating paboritong walang kakupas-kupas na lugaw with tofu, spring onions, and calamansi. Ganun lang kasimple. And then lunch, we have our adobong kangkong with fried tofu o tokwa. And then for dinner, laing with brown rice. And for snacks and beverage, for day 3, we had our puto, our kamote fries, pandan infused water. So these are all good plant-based meal plan na we will really enjoy. Kung ayaw nyo naman mag-Filipino menu every day, or gusto nyong haluan ng Western vibe or Western menu, ito naman ang mga ilang suggestion. Una, yung ating favorite oatmeal with almond milk and mixed berries. So, medyo pricey siya, no? Pero if you have some budget, why not try? No? Almond milk is, nabibili mo na yung supermarket. And of course, our oatmeal. And for lunch, quinoa salad with chickpeas and avocado. So, ang quinoa, marami din yan sa groceries and sa online shopping. For dinner, we have our lentil soup with whole grain bread. Snacks and beverages, yung hummus with veggie sticks and herbal tea. Wow! And then for day 2, we have smoothie bowl with banana, peanut, butter, and flax seeds. Yung smoothie bowl na to, ito yung mga iba't ibang klase ng mga vegetables or fruits. When you combine it and you blenderize it, lalagyan mo ng banana for texture, peanut, butter, and flax seeds. Masarap din. And then for lunch, grilled vegetable and hummus wrap. And then for the dinner, we have our stuffed bell peppers with black beans and rice. And for snacks and beverage, we have our trail mix, fresh orange juice. When you say trail mix, it's a combination of different nuts. Merong konting chocolate, bits of chocolate, raisins, Ganon. Yun yung mga mga sunflower seeds na pinaghalo-halo mo siya, parang snacks mo na. Yan yung tinatawag na trail mix. And for day 3, for breakfast, sino ba naman ang hindi kakain ng masarap na pancakes? Lalo na ito ay galing sa whole wheat na flour. with maple syrup and nuts. And then for lunch, vegan pasta primavera with garlic bread. Actually, number 1 din ng maganda rin talaga yung pasta sa vegan diet, sa plant-based diet. Yan. So, depende sa inyo kasi yung sauce naman is from raw tomatoes, or you can use, of course, yung mga canned tomatoes. Kung gusto niyo yun, okay lang naman. And then, of course, our favorite garlic bread na kasama ng ating pasta. And for dinner, we have our roasted cauliflower steak with mashed potatoes. So, ang cauliflower ngayon, gustong-gusto talaga siya ngayon na gamitin. Ang texture niya para siyang karne din eh. Pwede din kasing gano'n. No? Kaya lang ito roasted. Pero, we have one recipe na sa usapang patahanan na kung saan ito ay ang cauliflower ay ginawang sweet and sour. So, yung cauliflower ay para siyang chicken, fried chicken. And then, nilagyan na lang ng sweet and sour sauce. So, that's one way na maging masarap yung cauliflower. And then, dark chocolate and almond milk latte. Wow. Dark chocolates. Okay, maraming dark chocolates but mas maganda talaga the higher yung pagka-dark chocolate niya, the better. And kung kung gusto mo namang magkaroon ng Chinese menu, ito ay ilan lamang sa mga na nakuha kong magagandang suggestion na pwede nyong i-try. So we have our congee. Congee, lugaw ito eh. No? Kasi sa Chinese meal, meron din silang lugaw and they call it congee with pickled vegetables and tofu. Ganyan naman yung how they combine their congee. No? Parang may atsara siya and with the tofu. And for lunch, we have our favorite stir-fried bok choy. Gusto ko itong bok choy, patong yung pechay, no? Iba din kasi yung niya, yung kanyang feel and mas malambot siya. Masarap din siyang kainin, no? With garlic and brown rice. And then dinner, mapo tofu with steamed broccoli. And then sesame balls and jasmine tea for snacks and beverage. Wow, talaga napaka ganda ng nung ating meal na to. Chinese naman ang style. And then for day 2, we have our soy milk with steamed scallion buns, braised eggplant with tofu and rice. Ang sarap naman ito, no? For lunch. And then vegetable dumplings with dipping sauce. That's for dinner. And then we have our roasted chestnuts and green tea. Siguro sa bansang China, murang-mura lang itong mga chestnuts na to. Usually sa pag December lang natin to na sa Pilipinas eh. Natitigman. Yan yung yung ating mga chestnuts. And for day 3, we have our rice noodle soup with mushroom and spinach. And for lunch, kung pao tofu with peanuts and bell peppers. Dinner, stir-fried mixed vegetable with black bean sauce. So may mga special sauces po talaga ang ginagamit sa mga Chinese cooking. And then dried fruit and chrysanthemum tea. So yan, no, makikita ninyo yung mga iba't ibang klase ng menu. Western, Chinese, Filipino. Kayo na hanapin nyo paano naman ang style ng plant-based menu ng Japanese or Italian. So from there, pwede kayong mag-create ng inyong menu plan na iba't ibang menu coming from different countries. Para po maging exciting yung ating plant-based meal plan. Hindi siya boring na paulit-ulit lang ng munggo, gano'n. So, nakaka-enjoy naman po talaga na magplano tayo ng ating meals for our family and let us include our children. Para po, they can also take part in the planning and may say din sila na may gusto nilang kainin. Of course, as teachers, importante na maganda na i-include natin ang plant-based diet, meal planning sa ating mga tinuturo, no, sa school, and we can teach them through cooking demonstration and recipe sharing. And then one way to help them for sustainable choices is to help them read to understand food labels. Ano ba ang nasa food labels? Ano ang kailangan tingnan doon? Ano yung mga warning, mga different information that we need to know as consumers. And maganda rin na we encourage our students to keep a food diary. Kasi doon nakikita nila gaano ba sila ka-healthy. Diba? Sa lahat ng kinakain nila everyday. Now, it's about time to conclude. Na-enjoy nyo ba ang ating session for meal planning ng plant-based meal? Ako, sobra kong na-enjoy. And last words before I go, ay nais kong ibigay sa inyo ang ilan sa mga na-discuss natin. No? Just a summary of what we discussed sa aking assignment about plant-based diet. A plant-based diet reduces overconsumption by lowering our environmental impact, improving health, and promoting food security. And secondly, meal planning ensures balanced nutrition and helps reduce food waste. And third, practical application in home economics education such as cooking demonstration and food tracking can encourage students to adopt plant-based meals. And here are some of my references that I use. Encourage you to explore more plant-based menu plan coming from different countries. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening and have a safe day ahead. Thank you so much, Dr. Flores, Dr. Aguiliana, for this second episode or series of our World Home Economics webinar, hatid ng Patescu in partnership with Usapang Pantahanan YouTube channel. And as promised, yung mga nag-register po sa ating mga teachers for this webinar, you will receive your Certificate of Participation with PRC credit units pag kayo po ay naka-accomplish na ng inyong mga Google evaluation form. So today, you will be receiving a link dun sa inyo pong email, and make sure na ito po ay inyong na-accomplish. Kasi if you will not accomplish it, hindi nyo po ma-receive ang inyong Certificate of Participation. Ayan. So, I hope na nag-enjoy po tayong lahat. Nag-enjoy ka ba, Dr. Yusores, sa mga narinig mo sa mga speakers today?
Of course, at nakakatuwa, may natutunan naman akong pwede kong gawin sa bahay na pwede pang snack. And of course, syempre yung lecture mo, talagang kahit minsan sabihin natin, nagagawa naman natin to araw-araw, di ba? But when we hear may mga lectures na ganito, para na-refresh ang ating mind, ay oo nga pala. So, we invite everyone to please join our webinar, and I tell you, marami kayong matututunan at magagamit nyo sa inyong respective schools.
Ongoing pa rin po ang registration hanggang 11:59 ng gabi. Kasi ito naman pong ating video, it's hanggang April 12. So, you can still register by clicking, of course, scan the QR code. So, it will lead you to the registration form for this webinar. And mahahabol niyo pa po yung last April 5. April 5. Kasi once na you're registered, you can still view it at pasok pa naman kayo dun sa April 12, which is today, the deadline for registration. Para naman po, you can receive your PRC units and your Certificate of Participation. Thank you once again sa ating mga nagsipag-register ng mga teachers at sa mga tumangkilik po ng ating pong webinar, saan man kayo ng sulok ng mundo. And we hope na natuto po tayong lahat. And please, our plea is to share what you've learned or share this webinar just share the link that will lead them to this recorded. Iniimbitahan namin kayo na patuloy pong subaybayan ang mga Patesco webinar sa mga susunod na buwan. Sa buwan po ng July, we will have our Nutrition Month webinar.
Yes.
And ito po ay hatid pa rin ng Patesco in partnership with Cagayan State University. Yan, faculty members na nagtuturo po ng nutrition. And sa mga magkakaroon din po tayo ng webinar on research series. Abangan po nyo yan sa August. At syempre, ang ating pong Christmas webinar series sa sa buong taon ng 2025. Thank you once again, Dr. Yusores, for helping me facilitate this webinar. And ano ang yung final thoughts and final parting words for our listeners?
Thank you then, Dr. Fem, and thank you all everyone for joining us. And we hope that you will continue to join us, not only on this webinar, Dr. Fem, but also on our weekly episodes in Usapang Pantahanan YouTube channel. So please like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. And if it is not asking too much, please include Lalin's project, more on dressmaking activities and other home economics activities. And again, we expect that what we learned today will be rippled to our families, our friends, our students. Thank you very much for watching. Mami Fem.
Po si Dr. Aquino.
And this is Dr. Yusores.
Dito lang sa Usapang
Pantahanan.
Bye!
Bye! God bless everyone!
Thank you!